Just behind us here, you can see a massive burn scar. There's no more smoke, no more fire, but there's still a danger. And that's why there are lines of firefighters right now with cutting tools like chainsaws and axes, clearing all the brush, making sure there's no fuel in case those winds pick up and carry embers. So you're worried about this area because there's still brush here and it's so close to those homes right there.
That's correct.
Firefighters lined up on cliffs, scaling canyons, and on the lookout.
They're putting their lives on the line to get out in front of something that most people wouldn't get in front of.
Over the weekend, California's National Guard dropping flame retardant on hot spots in the Palisades fire. After flare-ups forced new evacuations in Encino and Brentwood, triggering this eerie fire-nado, with speculation on the origins of the infernos running rampant. The ATF now leading a newly formed task force to investigate the cause of the Palisades fire, as multiple law enforcement sources tell NBC News that a possible human cause is an early focus in this case.
They're identifying cause and origin for each of these separate fires. There's so many of them. None have been ruled out of arson.
The death toll has now reached 24 and expected to rise. Officials today urging residents to stay out of evacuation zones.
People are saying, I just want to go look at my house and I want to see what's left. We know that, but we have people literally looking for the remains of your neighbors.
Law enforcement in the region announcing more than 70 arrests, including looting and burglary charges. The FBI says unauthorized drones over the fire zones are now well into the double digits as they search for the drone pilot that crashed into a Canadian super scooper last week, grounding the aircraft for days. Today, the Los Angeles Unified School District reopened most of its 1,000 campuses, giving students some return to normalcy.
I've been pretty scared coming here, but I feel, but as long as the doors are open, I feel safe.
Schools damaged.
Right now, I'm trying to just keep it together to find us a place to live for us, temporary living for our family and my parents.
Andrea Heindel lost her family home, as did her parents.
How tough is it?
It is tough. There's millions of people looking at millions of different places, and so we just have to figure out.
And with the winds bringing the possibility of new fires and destruction just like this, some homeowners plan to take matters into their own hands. Once again, Gotti Schwartz tonight with their stories.
Across Los Angeles faced off against apocalyptic wildfires. Some homeowners defying the evacuation orders, choosing to protect their properties amid the hellscape.
We need a water drop. We need a water drop.
The catastrophic wildfires in Los Angeles have left the nation reeling. These fires are no ordinary disaster. They have turned into unstoppable forces, wreaking havoc and obliterating everything in their path. At least 16 lives have been lost, over 40,000 acres of land have been scorched, and more than 12,000 buildings have been completely destroyed. The situation continues to worsen, with the flames still raging and threatening even more areas. Evacuation orders have displaced over 105,000 residents, and another 87,000 people are anxiously awaiting the possibility of being forced to evacuate.
Hoses, generators, pumps, and tonight facing new red flag warnings, some Angelenos say they are preparing for round two. In wealthy enclaves, rows of water trucks and private firefighters standing at the ready.
And right here we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different water trucks. There's another 3 down the way.
Those in the evacuation zones who lived to tell the tale of how they saved their streets say they did what they could with high-pressured hoses.
So we were in all of our neighbors' backyards and lugging our hoses around.
In Altadena, Felipe Carrillo saving 2 houses on his street with a garden hose.
I caught on fire a couple of times.
You caught on fire?
Yes, and so what I started doing is every once in a while I would just spray myself with the garden hose. Just soak myself with the garden hose and continue to fight.
Fire officials say those who stay to fight right along the coast, owners of this row of homes had their own fire hoses ready and some willing to risk their lives.
There's another hot spot that just started up. So we're hooking up our fire hoses again to put it down before the wind starts again.
When the fire rolled in, Clayton Colbert and his friends stood their ground, tapping into the hydrant and saving 6 homes.
Do you have any firefighting experience? I mean,
I do now.
Yeah. What do you think would have happened if you and your neighbors weren't here?
Oh, my house would have been gone in a matter of minutes.
Tonight, Steve Foster's home is still standing, but most of the surrounding community is gone.
It's been difficult, but we're getting through it.
Would you leave?
I'm not leaving. I've been here the whole time. I have no intentions of leaving until my neighbors are back.
Not to evacuate during the chaos, but it's not always enforced. However, firefighters say, bottom line, every moment during a firefight is precious, and if they have to be pulled off of a fire line to come save someone that is not supposed to be there, it not only jeopardizes their lives, but puts the whole community at risk. Tom?
Gotti Schwartz tonight for us in Malibu. Gotti, we thank you for that. And for those who have lost everything, another crisis has quickly emerged. Where will they find a new place to live? Here's Morgan Chesky.
The family of 5, 6, including their pup Apollo, one of dozens, packing an open house. After watching flames approach, then engulf their beloved Palisades home.
Wednesday afternoon, we saw footage that our entire neighborhood.
You call and you're like, hey, can I come see it? And they're like, nope, it's rented. You call another one. Hey, can I come see it today? Nope, it's rented already. So it's...
Ashley says she's looked into 50 properties over the last several days.
In some cases, people driving hours just to find a home.
Yes, yes.
LA realtor Tanya Stosky says fewer options are already leading to price gouging.
We have greedy landlords who are spiking up the prices, and we also have a bidding war as well.
In the midst of this devastation, the homes and cherished memories of some of the most prominent celebrities have been consumed by the inferno. Their tales of loss and perseverance serve as a powerful reminder that tragedy touches everyone, regardless of fame or fortune.
Losing a home is hard. Losing a home to a wildfire is heartbreaking. But losing a home to a wildfire without insurance, that is life-shattering. And in Los Angeles, it is a grim reality. LA is battling devastating fires. Yet just months ago, thousands had their insurance cancelled. To understand that, let's look at State Farm. State Farm is a major US property insurance provider. It is also the biggest insurer in the region. In Los Angeles, in this place alone, State Farm covers around 250,000 homes, 250,000 homes. But here's the problem. Last year, State Farm began pulling back. It cancelled 30,000 insurance policies. In Pacific Palisades, 1,600 policies were dropped. Now, this neighborhood has around 9,000 residential units. The median value of a house is around $3.1 million, so it is an expensive neighborhood. And this matters because now these expensive homes have been gutted. And State Farm is not the only one. Other major insurers are also stepping away, leaving thousands of people vulnerable in wildfire-prone areas. Between 2020 and 2022, insurers refused to renew 2.8 million policies. 2.8 million. Over 500,000 were in Los Angeles. Those who did not get their policies cancelled had it even harder. Let me show you this report from the LA Times. One homeowner initially paid $4,500 for insurance. But at the time of renewal, the renewal of the policy, he was given a new quote, this time for $18,000. That was the new insurance amount, $18,000, almost 4 times what he had initially paid. In recent years, insurance companies have changed the way they work. Most of them use sophisticated modeling and even artificial intelligence. They can map out the risks of wildfires. Usually, insurance companies cannot cancel policies arbitrarily, but if the risk rises significantly, policies can be dropped. And climate change has increased the risk of fires. So in Los Angeles, policies were dropped like flies. From a company's point of view, the idea was to maximize profits.
Mandy Moore, best known for her role in This Is Us Asterisk, posted a heartfelt message on Instagram revealing the devastation of the wildfires. While the main part of her home managed to survive, it's no longer habitable. The garage, guest house, and her husband's music studio were all destroyed. Her words convey deep sorrow as she reflects on the memories lost in those spaces, yet she expresses gratitude that her family is safe.
They don't want to bear the cost of disasters like the current wildfires in Los Angeles. Take State Farm, for example. In 2022, its losses were $6.7 billion. In 2023, it was around $6.3 billion. So scaling back policies meant fewer losses. But where does this leave the residents? Many of them had only one resort, the FAIR Plan, FAIR. It stands for Fair Access to Insurance Requirements. FAIR is funded by California's private home insurers. It offers only limited coverage, yet thousands of people opted for it. In 2020, 1.4 million residents depended on FAIR. That number went up to 2.7 million in 2023. So more and more people, all of this raises one question: what could Los Angeles have done better? For one, insurance policies need a complete overhaul. It's not just about mandating coverage. It is about balancing risks and responsibilities. Insurers should be incentivized to stay in wildfire-prone areas. Governments must have risk-sharing mechanisms so that the financial burden does not fall on one party. The state now mandates insurers to provide coverage in wildfire-prone areas. This is a new regulation. It aims to give residents access to more insurance options. Of course, it's a step in the right direction, but is it too late? For homeowners who've already lost everything, it is late. But for the rest, it could provide a lifeline. Because when homes burn, it is not just property, it is lives and futures at stake.
Mel Gibson experienced the heartbreak of losing his home while on Asterisk, the Joe Rogan Experience Asterisk. Imagine being miles away, anxiously wondering if your home still exists, only to return and find it reduced to nothing but ash. Gibson described the experience as deeply emotional but managed to express gratitude, recognizing the overwhelming loss that so many others are also enduring.
Information is also spreading, just as Facebook has decided to stop fact-checking and go to community notes, I guess they're calling it. Donnie O'Sullivan takes a look at some of the misinformation that's out there right now.
California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things.
Mel Gibson on Fox News Primetime after losing his home in the California.
Is it on purpose? Which, it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, you know? I don't know. Do they want the state empty? I don't know.
Conspiracy theories spreading like wildfire.
This is an obvious land grab. They get them out of their homes this way, and then they can build whatever they want to build.
From the common refrain that it's all part of a government plot.
This is siege by design.
Fire command team at the Palisades Fire.
Indeed, X's owner, Elon Musk, has spent the last week elevating conspiracy theories about the fires.
What about water availability?
Responding to a post from disgraced conspiracy theorist Alex Jones that the fires are part of a globalist plot, Musk responded, true.
And Donnie O'Sullivan joins us now. In a situation like this, I mean, it always happens, but it seems particularly acute right now.
Absolutely. And look, one of the big issues, particularly which we saw last year with hurricanes Helene and Milton, and also before that the Maui wildfires, is that a lot of this misinformation makes people who need support from government agencies, whether it be local agencies or FEMA, distrust. That's something we particularly saw after the hurricanes. We're seeing less of that here right now, but what we are seeing is, and of course, look, there is a straight up false claims about policies here. And then, of course, Elon Musk, the owner of X, as you saw in that piece there, engaging with really wild conspiracy theories in terms of that this is a planned event. It's not. But also then really leaning into this sort of culture war stuff about DEI, diversity and inclusion policies and everything else like that. So it's really just a pretty toxic stew online right now. And on top of that, we're seeing changes at Meta coming soon with removing these fact checkers.
Yeah, Donnie O'Sullivan, thanks very much.
Captain Eric Scott, he is the public information officer for the Los Angeles Fire Department.
Joshua Jackson also suffered the loss of his childhood home in Tangy Canyon, a place filled with decades of memories and sentimental value. In his public statement, he found a glimmer of hope, noting that his family and neighbors made it out safely. Ultimately, he emphasized that, at the end of the day, it is lives that matter the most.
Obviously, you've been joining us in these touch and go situations. I know y'all are very busy, so you're joining us on the phone tonight. We've been talking about these red flag warnings that are now in place through Wednesday evening. What is your biggest concern about that tonight?
We've been getting breaks, and then she comes back, and it's been very difficult. So the area of major concern for the Palisades burn perimeter remains the northeast area in Mandeville Canyon. It's a lot of homes, very narrow hairpin turns that we had to proactively enact parking restrictions to keep vehicles out of areas that turn to choke points in case there's additional evacuations. But right now we got a lot of firefighters lined up there, and our air assets are continuing to do a wonderful job.
Yeah, we are looking at live pictures right now in LA. This is from KCAL and KCBS. You're showing firefighters trying to contain. Heard is new fires starting as a result of this warning, but this particularly dangerous situation warning that is so rare. If they do, are you prepared for that?
Yes, we've battled these PDS incidents in the past, particularly dangerous situations, but they are significant. We take them very seriously. So we have a ton of resources here, over 5,000 firefighters that remain on scene, and we have over 40 helicopters that are assigned. We have a very large contingency of fixed wing. Some of these will drop water on target hazards to protect property. Others will be more defensive and drop retardant to stop the flames at what we call the 3 R's, the roads, rivers, and ridges. So they're doing a wonderful job, and we continue to expect night operations to continue.
Are you worried that the winds could get so bad, though, that those aerial flights have to stop again, which was, of course, the issue at the beginning of these fires?
Yeah, that's more of a worst case scenario. If that happens, it makes so much more difficult to stop the flame front. So I was talking to our chief pilots today, and some of the thresholds are at 40 miles per hour, but at the ridges, it could be cut even in half. It's really up to the discretion of the chief pilot. The main thing on their mind is safety, of course, safety for their members. If that aircraft goes down, now you have loss of life and it can't do anything. Plus, if the wind is so significant, boots are on the ground and the birds are in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it's just remarkable what we're looking at now to see how close these firefighters are to this fire. This is in Riverside, California, that we're watching right now. I mean, and obviously dealing with a lot of the brush there and vegetation. I mean, one, this is just amazing to watch. I know we've expressed, I mean, they have chainsaws in their hands as they are cutting down.
Veteran actor Eric Braeden, famed for his role in Asterisk, The Young and the Restless Asterisk, was also swept up in the devastating fires. He evacuated just in time, only to return later and walk through the charred remains of his home. His words, "It's all burnt down, man," captured the overwhelming disbelief that so many Los Angeles residents are experiencing in the wake of this tragedy.
The number of people killed has risen to 16 and a dozen are missing after 5 days of these devastating fires. The 2 biggest blazes in the city remain largely uncontained and more strong winds are forecast over the coming days. Now, those 2 fires have destroyed an area more than twice the size of New York's Manhattan. No cause has yet been established for these fires, and firefighters have made some progress against the worst and it's described as being 11% contained. Now, that basically means that barriers or fire breaks have been placed around 11% of its perimeter. And the Palisades fire is now threatening Brentwood. That's one of LA's most, and the basketball star LeBron James have their homes. There have also been dramatic scenes of aircraft dropping thousands of gallons of fire retardant on the hills and the scrub. It's all in an attempt to put out the blazes. But if the winds do pick up, it will be harder to get those aircraft and the helicopters into the air. Weather Service is warning that the Santa Ana winds that whipped up the fires at the outset could increase again over the weekend and also in the next coming few days. 7 neighbouring states, the federal government, Canada and also Mexico have sent resources to California. Well, our first report comes from Helena Humphrey, who is in LA.
Still, the fires grow, hungry and unrelenting, as firefighters remain locked in a battle against nature's fury. From the sky, it's an all-out assault to keep the largest of these deadly wildfires in the Pacific Palisades from spreading any further, bombarding the flaming hills with water and fire retardant. Meanwhile, on the ground, the National Guard is out in force. A nighttime curfew is in effect to clamp down on those profiting from the chaos.
A lot of crime, a lot of people trying to steal things, but if you protect yourself and your family, I mean, I have to be there to protect my wife, my son, my kids, my mom, and I cannot even go and see them. I've been in the street for 3 days. Luckily, my sister lived on the street, or else I'd end up in the street.
But this unprecedented crisis is also bringing out the best in humanity.
Survivors here have lost everything, entire homes reduced to rubble. And with days of winds now forecast, it's a race against time to stop these fires from spreading further.
Los Angeles knows it needs all the help it can get. And with a change of administration looming in Washington.
For some, the loss is even more intimate. Paris Hilton witnessed the destruction of her Malibu home in real time on live television. Imagine sitting with your loved ones, powerless, as flames ravage every aspect of your life. Hilton described the experience as beyond heartbreaking, yet she found solace in knowing that her family and pets were safe.
Local officials say they've yet to hear from the incoming president.
I wrote a letter to President-elect Trump inviting him to engage in wildfire recovery efforts and to visit the county to see the impact firsthand that it has on every socioeconomic individual in this county.
Sending in battle-tested teams of their own, they know that any pickup in the now notorious Santa Ana winds could wipe out their hard-won progress in an instant. Helena Humphrey, BBC News, Los Angeles.
Well, as Helena was mentioning there, Mexico is among one of the countries which has sent firefighters to assist in combating these wildfires, as local officials seek to draft in help from across the US as well. 2 plane loads of more than 70 firefighters, along with their equipment, landed in LA International Airport on Saturday, and they were greeted by California's Governor Gavin Newsom.
This is what friends do. This is what relationships are all about. Friends in need, being there for one another. We want to be there for the people of Mexico in times of need and disasters, and we're incredibly humbled and grateful that the president was willing to send the crew you see behind me. They'll be out on the lines within the next 24, 36 hours, and we're very, very grateful.
Well, they're going to be joining the hundreds of firefighters who are working around the clock to tackle these blazes. Liz Lynn is president of the LA Fire Department Foundation. It's been assisting firefighters in the area. She spoke about just how tough it's been for them.
The firefighters are now on day 5 or 6. They have been there since day 1. We are normally during a fire season, which happens in the fall, very rarely do we have something in January, you see one fire. There's something like 6 fires and they keep popping up. And what's even more usual is that the fire behavior and the winds are things we've never seen. We saw this in Hawaii a couple of years ago. It's unprecedented in the city of LA and in the nation for what we're seeing. And my only mission is to serve the Los Angeles Fire Department. With that, anything that they need during these fires, anything that the budgets didn't support, anything that helps them do the job that they do to save lives and protect the community, we will fund. And our funding depends on the general public. So this morning I was at Palisades and I bought some technology equipment because some of the computers and things were failing, to keep them safe, to keep them healthy, and to keep them doing this job. I was in Palisades this morning touring the sites. We had a couple of our canine therapy dogs available, not only for the firefighters, but for the families that were starting to come in and seeing their homes and the devastation that, and so it's very, very emotional. And fortunately, we have some resources that we can use to help not only the firefighters, but also the public as well.